When you talk about allowing people that have no concept of good football to vote
Okay.
on projecting before they can see with their eyes any team and what they can do, you get a whole slew of mess, Daniel.
You're describing SEC media is what you're doing.
I'm describing the SEC media and what they can do. We're going to talk about the projected order of finish of all SEC teams voted on by the media members, and just in, it's crazy. Next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy to have you on board. Happy Wednesday. I am Daniel. He is Clint. This is the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Thanks so much for subscribing to the show, for following along. We know it's the off season, but the season is right around the corner. We've been talking about SEC Media Days, which is the unofficial start to a college football season. Fall camp will be here before you know it, and then there will be games on your television, and we'll all be headed down to Athenstown to watch a little football between the hedges.
Come on, man.
Love to see it, Clint. Now, something that you don't love to see is members of the media making complete buffoons of themselves. Now, we've seen this many times over the last couple weeks. A quick note, a quick reminder to everybody, Clint and I, podcast for fans by fans.
We are fans.
We are fans.
Okay.
Now, we are not gurus or insiders.
Because there's no such thing, by the way.
Um,
If you were, you would be hired by a college football team to do that all the time for that
them
team.
for more money.
Okay.
We are hard-hitting journalistic interviews like now. I think we are. Like,
I can put that on the Twitter
Are we
bio.
now like we're like the 2020, like the Dateline of
I'm
Georgia
going to introduce
podcasts?
myself when I go on SEC Uncensored with Mahler. I'm going to say, response quoted by UG Athletics that led to Alan Judd's firing. That's how I'm going to introduce myself.
Just we come on the pod. We'd love to have you. You'll probably be fired the next week. That's
the t-shirt.
We'd love to
right
have
there.
you on as a guest, though. So if you're out there listening and you want to come on the pod, only if you're make a complete moron of yourself. Speaking of making a complete moron of yourselves,
People love the banter.
the SEC media, Clint.
Yes.
What have they done? Like what? Why are
Again,
people
so let's
allowed to
just
be the way
talk
that they
about
are?
what we consider newsworthy. Okay.
Okay.
We consider newsworthy people who have never played college football but cover it for teams and coaches. Before a season begins, before we can name, I will give anybody $100 right now if they could name definitively the starting quarterback for Auburn, Alabama, Florida. I mean, it can go on and on and on. Before we know who these people are, before we see any on-field production, we are just giving away guesses on a team that has massive turnover every single year. This isn't like the NFL that you sign people for long. This is random guesses. And the SEC media came out and broke down who they think will be the order of finish for both the East and the West. Last year, we can talk about that. And who will win the SEC championship. Spoiler, everybody has picked Georgia to win the SEC this year. Wow. First time in a number of years that's been the case. We are the odds-on favorite to win the national championship again, which we've talked about before. Maybe not the best, maybe not the worst. It just is. But people are giving Georgia that moniker. Daniel, do you want me to run through the East or the West, or go through some, and then we could talk about surprise teams? How do you want to break this down?
Yeah, let's talk about the West first. We already mentioned Georgia, obviously favorite to win the East. So we'll get to the rest of the teams in the East in a bit. Let's start over on the West.
Now, if you were here last week, we had Dawgs Stats on. Josh came on the show and was talking about how he thinks
Dawgs Stats. Best follow there is on Twitter.
Go over on Twitter. Get
Also,
Dawgs stats.
best season preview. I haven't gotten a chance to say this because Clint said it, but I'm my own person. I might disagree with Clint. Okay? Clint doesn't take 9-week vacations the way that some of
I
us do.
work.
Do you? Is that?
I set
Clint's
myself
doing
up.
an ad read later for LinkedIn. That's him personally doing an ad read for LinkedIn, just so we're all totally clear. It's ironic that I'm the one that goes on the long vacations.
It is.
Anyway, dog stats. That's what we're getting
That's
to.
what we're
People
talking about.
love the banter.
They love
Clint.
the banter.
This Dog Stats and Chris Marler put out the best
best.
college football season preview. Listen to me, that I have ever read. In
It's
any
objective.
form.
It has stats. It has numbers. It has returning. It has actual deep analytics that makes sense.
It's thorough, but it's concise in the areas that needs to be. It's not filled with fluff.
No.
I'm telling you, go find Dog Stats. In the profile, you'll find a link. It's like a few dollars, Clint,
$8
for
bucks
this
for
thing.
all
It's
Power 5 teams.
It's ridiculous, and it's well worth your investment. Go check it out. He is not paying me to say that.
No, he's not. We readily.
I wish he would. Just to be clear, Josh, I would take it if you wanted to pay me to say that. But
Here is the West. Now, Josh said that likely the West will cannibalize itself, that there might be a 2-loss SEC matchup with the East and the West, and the West having the 2 losses. But this is the projected order of finish, and I want to talk about what I've seen on the West so far from a number of people and 2 teams that really surprised me. Alabama comes in 165 first place votes. LSU number 2, Texas A&M 3, Ole Miss 4, Arkansas 5, Auburn 6, Mississippi State 7.
how many first place votes does LSU get?
117.
So what's the difference there? To 165.
Yeah,
for
165 to
so
117.
pretty close.
Not that far off. When all things considered, SEC Media Days, that's a now. Conversely, Georgia 265, Tennessee 14.
Right. I mean, it's pretty clear. It is interesting they still have Alabama number 1 and LSU number 2. Let's get more into this. I went long on my praise of Josh and his season preview. Let's get more into this in the second segment and talk about the SEC West and how we feel like it's all going to break down right after this.
But first, we need to talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn, what up?
Sometimes
How
it's
you doing?
personal.
Sometimes it's personal. Sometimes it's real. And LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege is a place for you to go to get the right person for your team. Now, that person may, in fact,
He may in fact be a podcast co-host.
maybe a podcast co-host that you need on your team to get you the place that you need to get the achievements and the accolades and everything that you want for your business. Right now, everybody's hiring. Everybody needs somebody, and the right team, the right person, and the right position is important. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. You can go there right now and post your job for free. They have millions upon millions upon millions of networks and people to go ahead and get you the right candidate. They have filtering out who you shouldn't have on your team with questionnaires, personality profile, the whole deal, as well as once you go over to LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege and post your job for free, you get that little frame over there, lets people know that you are hiring, and you're going to get a flood of candidates, the right candidates, not just random candidates, right over to you. Don't go in this alone. Don't do it foolishly. Trust people that know what they're doing, and LinkedIn Jobs knows exactly what they're doing. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. Post your job for free to millions and millions of people right now. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. All right, so we talked about the West, Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, and here's where I want to start with the West. Daniel, Texas A&M, I have seen from a number of sports reporters from
It's a
winning
generous usage of the term.
winning the West. Dang, straight up winning the West to coming in 6th in the West.
What's there a better chance of?
6th.
Absolutely, it's 6th. What's there a better chance of, 2nd or 6th?
6th.
It's absolutely 6th. I don't get the hype.
Are they talented?
I don't get the hype around this Texas A&M.
They're
They
talented.
were.
Well, okay.
Most
They've
of them
brought
left.
They've brought in But even those that have stayed, they had a number of lotto tickets.
They have talent.
Okay, they have talent. Do they have an OC?
Do you mean Jimbo Fisher? Because no.
There it is. See,
Because no. He won't
Jimbo-
let anybody do anything else. And this offense, is not from the Stone Age. The Stone Age wouldn't have this offense.
No. Flintstones had that axle that was mysteriously kept into the back. Don't know how. There
We
was nothing
keep
holding
hearing
it.
every year this is the year that Jimbo's going to let go and he's going to loosen the reins and he's going to really let go of this offense and he's really going to cut it loose. Nope.
No, sir.
Not fool me once. Shame on you. But I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it again.
He is the often talk about SEC media days. All he had to say was when somebody asked him, "Are you going to give up play calling duties?" He could have been like, "Yeah, I am." Very simple. He didn't. He said, "Well, that's still being worked out," which we all know what that means.
We know what that means.
I'm calling the plays.
I'm going to call the plays because I believe that I'm better than everyone else because one time Jameis Winston played for me.
There it is, old crab legs. LSU's going to win the West.
They sure are.
Okay, I'm glad we got that. Old Miss has a chance to come in below Auburn. If I were to give you two teams and I was to say pick one to finish above the other, Auburn and Old Miss, I'm telling you right now, I'm mighty tempted to take Auburn.
But teams play Georgia.
Yep.
So there's a crossover loss for both. I'm not. Brian Harson's going to have to show me something. Not Brian.
I was just going to say,
Brian Harsin.
he ain't showing you nothing.
He ain't going to show me anything. This is a Freudian slip, Brian. I wish he was still here, man. I miss Brian Harsin already.
I miss old blue turf.
There's a joke there, and
There
I
is.
let it go. And I let it go.
He has many
Hugh Freeze.
many things he likes.
Speaking
that are
of
blue.
people that there are a lot of jokes to be made about, Hugh Freeze is the
Hugh
new
Freeze,
coach at
I
Auburn.
think he's going to show us something at Auburn.
He's going to have to show me something, and I'm not
think he's
buying
gonna
it.
do-
I'll take to
Damn,
the
he's an
proven
offensive dude.
commodity.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so is the team that you compared him to is coached by Lane Kiffin. So,
Lane Kiffin hates himself.
he's
That's
an-
what
no.
Lane Kiffin hates himself and hates success.
It's an interesting conversation. Is there a team other than LSU? If a team other than LSU and Alabama were to win the West, I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Okay.
Everybody knows it's
Okay.
not going to happen. If a team other than LSU or Alabama were to win the West, I told you, I looked into the future and I said that happened. But I won't tell you which team. You're going to now go to the window and place a bet on some team to win the SEC West because that's going to be a big payout.
Yeah.
You can only bet on one team. Who you betting on?
At this point, I would say Arkansas.
Arkansas, KJ Jefferson.
KJ Jefferson. They got a running back staple. Sam Pittman, offensive line, can coach it up. I think they have enough pieces at the linebacking core on defense. If you're telling me Alabama LSU is not it, then I would go Arkansas because of KJ Jefferson.
Yeah, it's not a terrible. After all I've already said, if that were the scenario,
Yes.
yeah, I'd have to take a flyer on Texas A&M. I'd have to take a flyer on Texas.
Yeah, that would be my second team. I'd take a flyer on. Okay, let's hop over really quick. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about the East a little bit, and Georgia's winning the East and winning the SEC. There,
That's a non-starter.
shocker upon all shockers
Yeah.
on Georgia podcast. But we're gonna talk about some other teams that may
More to
surprise.
discuss.
More to discuss right after these. Okay, a little refresher. Come on back. No,
I went away for a quick second. I'm back. Don't worry about me.
I am very worried about you, Dan.
Listen, the man gets jittery. I go on one vacation, and he now all of a sudden I'm half my body's out of frame, and he's like, Daniel, come back.
One vacation. You Locked On Bulldogs. You guys tell me how many solo episodes I've done and how many solo episodes Daniel's done. People will tell us. One vacation.
Recency bias. Recency bias.
All right. So Georgia gets those 265 votes refreshed. Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky, Florida, Missouri, Vanderbilt with 8 first place votes.
People are idiots.
What are we doing?
People are idiots. I mean, I get it.
doing?
You're basically trying to just wave a flag that says this is dumb. Why are we still doing it? And if so, it's working. Like
Actually,
that's
you've
your
done.
message is
an admirable
coming
job.
across loud and clear.
Okay.
Read through the list one more time for me.
Georgia.
Let me hear the order.
Tennessee,
Georgia, Tennessee.
South Carolina. Big Kentucky, Florida, Missouri, Vanderbilt.
First of all, because it's over on the sidebar, so we have to talk about it. Florida?
Yep, go ahead.
Look at where you are right now. This is your program. Like
Vanderbilt,
this is,
who's projected to come in dead last in the SEC, did what to you last year? Oh no.
not with the number 1 pick, number 4 overall pick, Anthony Richardson at quarterback. Not with him.
Well, don't worry, because there's a Tennessee quarterback who's been mocked to be just like Anthony Richardson. And if that's supposed to scare me,
I can't wait until the week we play Tennessee.
Oh my gosh.
I was just having a conversation today with somebody, Clint.
Okay.
Tennessee is so overrated this year, and Tennessee fans are just going so hard in the paint for this team. They want it so bad.
So bad.
Tennessee fans wanted it so bad when they were terrible, and now you give them a little taste of success, and all that East Tennessee mountain people comes out of the woodwork in their big, giant orange T-shirts. And this Tennessee team does not have the dudes to compete week in and week out in the SEC.
Not the grind.
I don't think they're going to finish second in the East.
They're not going to finish second in the East. Florida's not finishing fifth in the East.
This was my point. Florida, you're down there with Missouri and Vanderbilt. That's the company you're currently keeping.
That's the table that you get sat at the wedding.
You've got Group of 5 Billy down there.
Yeah.
And he's coaching you like you're that caliber of a team. He's got you down there with the Group of 5 teams, Missouri and Vanderbilt. It's a tough scene when Florida's being ranked behind South Carolina, behind Kentucky, and no one is batting an eye. There's no one who's like, this is outrageous.
Nope.
Florida is being disrespected by a wide margin. If anything, Missouri fans are like, hey,
I'd be a little offended.
we're better than them. We're better than Florida. It's sad.
South Carolina has a rough schedule this year.
It's not good.
I feel really bad because this might be a very, very good team. Well, again, I got a soft spot in my heart for Beamer. I really do.
Yeah.
Because Florida, you wish you had Beamer. Tennessee,
you remember that Tennessee game? You remember that Tennessee South Carolina? I remember they wished they had Beamer one day. One day they did.
I think if you were to do a drinking game with fist pumps that Beamer does on the sidelines during a game, you'd be under the table in half a quarter.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. South Carolina is not going to finish third either, Daniel. Their schedule is horrible for them.
So in your mind, it's Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee. That's the order of finish in the SEC.
I think Kentucky finishes second this year. I do.
Let me just say this. And it's okay, Georgia fans. The SEC East is pretty bad.
It's bad.
It's pretty bad. The teams are bad. And the nice thing about that is we get to play them all, and they're bad, and we're going to beat them.
Okay, great.
Who cares what people think about our schedule? Who cares what Ohio State fans says about our schedule? Who cares?
The lack of self-awareness, Ohio State fan, is egregious.
It's quite comical.
Minnesota.
It's
Northwestern. Rutgers. Stop.
Rutgers. The SEC East is really bad.
Yeah.
Though.
True.
Name teams in the SEC West.
Okay.
that would finish second in the SEC East. Okay?
Alabama.
LSU.
Ole Miss.
Maybe Auburn. Maybe Texas A&M.
Auburn. A&M.
I don't think I don't think they're getting to 10 wins this year.
No.
I think 9-3 is the ceiling for Tennessee.
It's going to be a rough
I think
year.
it might be 8-4.
But hey, he could throw 90 yards.
He can throw the ball. I'm not going to tell you exactly how far I can throw it, but it starts with a 9.
That is the most. That's the most bro dude energy in the world. It is perfect, by the way. It fits everything about them.
It is perfect.
McDonald's bags of money type talk.
Yeah, throw a mustard bottle at your bitter rival type of energy.
Love it. Tennessee's not going to finish. I agree. I think it's Kentucky. I've already said that. I will stick with that. South Carolina, if they didn't have the schedule, might have a chance to actually finish second. If they had a different home away slate, I would actually pick South Carolina to finish second. But
I like South. I still like South Carolina. I'd certainly like them more than Kentucky. I think Tennessee's finishing probably second in the East, though. I think with 9-3 record, that still gets them. Even with 3 SEC losses, I think that gets them to second place in the East, which just tells you that there's not going to be a lot of good teams in the East, which, again, if you're a Georgia fan, you can get your feelings hurt that people said mean things about us, or you can watch us win football games and go back to the college football playoff. So that'd be fun, too. Why don't we just do that?
Again, if you have a family that everybody else is really jealous of, and they say that your wife married you because she pitied you. Okay, you would switch lives with me in a heartbeat.
It's great.
Okay,
I mean, sounds very autobiographical what you're saying right now, but I can't. I'm not here to put words in your mouth or sell it.
We started this podcast because we needed therapy. And instead of going to therapy...
No, therapy's too expensive.
We bought microphones.
That's a one-time fee.
It's
cheap. Just a one-time fee, and then you pay for the hosting, and it's really paying for itself at this point, the therapy.
It is. This has been Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll see you all next time.
See ya.